In this video I will not be talking about the technology alone. Instead we're going to compare the technology of two cryptocurrencies, namely NEO and Ethereum. The reason we are doing this will become apparent soon. Let's start with what consensus mechanism is used in the two projects. NEO uses DBFT, Delegated Byzantine Fault Tolerance Alternative. Meanwhile Ethereum uses POW, Proof of Work, and plans to move on to POS, Proof of Stake, with the Casper update that is currently being tested on the testnet. We saw a good price increase of Ethereum when the testnet was announced. Now, what are the differences in these protocols? You might even have thought that NEO uses Proof of Stake, but that is not the case. We will not dive into the very technical stuff in this video, so let's put it in a more simple way, starting with Proof of Work. Proof of Work is the consensus mechanism used by most cryptocurrencies like Ethereum or Bitcoin. It requires work, computer power, aka mining. It relies on that the majority of computer power will decide what transactions are valid or not. This is quite secure, but takes a lot of energy, and nowadays miners are not regular people like it was meant to be. They are people with a lot of money who owns big warehouses of mining equipment that is much more efficient than a normal PC. This is of course not good for the network. It makes it more centralized and vulnerable to attacks. And of course it's not good for the environment either. Now on to Proof of Stake. Proof of Stake does not use mining. Instead you need to prove that you have a stake in the network, aka that you own some tokens, and if you try to cheat the network, you will lose your tokens. Most often there is a minimum requirement of tokens you need to hold to be able to stake your tokens and validate transactions, so that you would take a big loss if you cheated. This system relies on that the majority of token holders will not cheat. To cheat the network you need more than 50% of the tokens, instead of more than 50% of the network's computing power, like in Proof of Work. And now DBFT. In this mechanism there are two types of people. People who run specialized bookkeeping nodes to make a living from it, and regular nodes like you and me, people who make transactions. To put it simply, in every round, aka every block, a specialized node is randomly selected. He will then broadcast his version of the blockchain to the network, and if 2/3 of the remaining specialized nodes agree, then they move on to the next block. If not, then a new node is randomly selected and the process continues. These specialized nodes have been appointed to become specialized nodes by us normal nodes through a delegated voting process. The thing with DBFT is that not only is it very fast and secure, it can't be forked. There is not several versions of the truth, but one. This is good because NEO is aiming to be the new economy, a smart economy as they call it. In an important area like that, regulators would not like the idea of forks, several versions of the truth. DBFT is not like the consensus mechanism called DPoS, Delegated Proof of Stake. Sure, it's very similar, but DBFT is more secure. NEO is aiming to be very compliant with regulations. But isn't this a bit more centralized, you might ask? Well, yes, it is, a bit. It is not as decentralized as other mechanisms, in the sense that you are only voting for who should validate transactions. You're not validating them yourself, unless you have a specialized node. It's a trade-off. A bit less decentralized, but much faster. We will talk speed soon. As of right now, the NEO Council has most of the specialized nodes themselves, so it's not decentralized. They have pretty much full control, but in Q1 of 2018, NEO will be holding less than 2/3 of the nodes, and they will have less and less control, making it more and more decentralized as time goes on. Now that we know the basics of the consensus mechanisms, let's move on to some other facts about the two cryptocurrencies. NEO is quantum secure right now, while Ethereum is not. But of course that can be changed sometime in the future. Both are platforms on which you can build projects, smart contracts, decentralized apps, and host ICOs. Ethereum uses a programming language called Solidity. Meanwhile, Neo uses many mainstream languages like Java and C#, which is a big thing. Almost all developers in the world knows how to make apps in these languages. Meanwhile, no one knows Solidity. It's a language built for Ethereum. This allows any developer to start making projects based on Neo without having to learn a whole new programming language. And Solidity is said to be pretty hard compared to many mainstream ones. I do know a bit of Java and C++. I'm a beginner, but I like to code. I haven't tried Solidity myself, this is just what I have read. One more thing that would make developers want to develop on Neo instead is the transaction throughput, the speed. Ethereum can do a maximum of 30 transactions per second, but this is just theoretical. It can only do 30 transactions per second if the conditions are perfect. In reality, it can do 15 transactions per second. Neo can do 10,000 transactions per second in theory and 1,000 transactions per second in reality. And they are working on optimizing it. I do remember seeing a Twitter post somewhere where this was tested and they could actually handle like 3,000 transactions per second. But I couldn't find the post when I was looking for it again, so this might not be true. The current block time is 15 seconds for Ethereum and 25 seconds for Neo. And right now, Neo transactions are free. Meanwhile, it is pretty expensive to deploy a smart contract on Neo. KuCoin, the exchange, has recently made a post where they recommend their users to withdraw in Neo because of this. City of Zion, a development group that's developing for Neo, just released a new version of their Neon wallet, which makes participating in ICOs a lot easier. This has been a long-awaited update for their wallet. Neo has two tokens, Neo and Neo Gas. The Neo token is used for voting on the network and generates gas. Gas is needed for the system to work, it's what you pay your fees in. Ethereum has one token, Ether. This token is needed for the network and it's what you pay your fees in. It is also the token you stake and vote, so it's like a 2-in-1, whenever they update to proof of stake. The Neo token is not divisible, so you can't have 0.5 Neo, although the Neo Gas tokens are divisible, since it's what you pay your fees in. Ethereum is also divisible. Now let's take a look at the supply. Neo has 100 million total supply, with 65 million in circulation. The other 35 million is held by the Neo Council, mostly to support new projects that is being built on Neo. Neo Gas has a max supply of 100 million as well, but there are only 14.6 million gas total right now, and only 9.5 million that is circulating. Ethereum has a circulating supply of 97 million. 60 million was originally created at the time of the ICO, of which the foundation kept 12 million. At least 5 Ether is created each block. The max amount of Ether that can be created each year is 18 million. When Ethereum is upgraded to Casper, this number will probably be reduced, but the point is that the supply will keep growing, unlike Neo. But of course, if the majority of Ethereum holders wants to change that, they can do so in the future. When it comes to the teams behind these two cryptocurrencies, they are both amazing, and they also have very big communities. Of course, the Ethereum community is bigger than Neo's, but the Neo one is pretty big too. It's bigger than some cryptocurrencies that are currently ranked higher than them. One thing to take note of as of late is that Ethereum's 15 transactions per second were in full use in December. We saw the network being overloaded, mostly because of CryptoKitties and the big amount of new people in the cryptocurrency space at that time. If you don't know what CryptoKitties is, it's a game, it's a decentralized app built on Ethereum. This shows the scaling issues they are facing at the moment. In NEO's white paper, it says that in theory, all dApps, decentralized applications, could be easily transplanted onto the NEO contract platform as a NEO application, meaning that they could move to run on NEO instead. As of right now, most projects are built on Ethereum, but NEO has just started to get a lot of attention the past month, as you can see on the price. This is partially because of all the new and promising ICOs that are going to happen on NEO. Now let's take a closer look at the price and market cap of NEO and NEO Gas versus Ethereum. The price per Ether is around $1,000 at the time of me making this video, the 19th of January. And the market cap is around 100 billion, and it's rank 2 of all cryptocurrencies. The price per NEO is around $140, and the market cap is around 9 billion, and it's rank 8. NEO Gas has a price of around $60 and a market cap of around 500 million, and it's rank 60. Now, when thinking in terms of NEO versus Ethereum, I would put together the market cap of NEO and NEO Gas when comparing them, since the Ether token pretty much has the functionality of both NEO tokens. So, we have Ethereum at about $100 billion market cap and NEO at about $10 billion market cap. Does it seem reasonable to you, after all that you have heard, that Ethereum is 10 times more valuable than NEO? I don't think so. So let's take a closer look at why this might be the case at the moment. Number 1. Ethereum has been around for a bit longer. It is the first platform for decentralized applications and smart contracts. It has the big brand name. Kind of like how Bitcoin has a big brand name. Bitcoin is the most valuable cryptocurrency, even though you can't do what it's supposed to do at the moment. The fees are too high. Number 2. Ethereum has many projects being built on it. This ties back to point number 1. It has been around for a longer time. Number 3. NEO is not decentralized yet and will never become as decentralized as other cryptocurrencies. Decentralization is a big and important thing. The fact that NEO still has the most specialized nodes is not good. Number 4. A lot of people still haven't opened their eyes to NEO yet. Maybe a lot of people has been too focused on Ethereum to notice what NEO is capable of. Cardano and EOS are also competitors of Ethereum, but they still don't have a working product that you can build projects on. And they're around the same market cap as NEO. EOS is at 6 billion and Cardano is at 17 billion. Now, NEO is getting more and more teams building projects on it instead of Ethereum because of all these benefits. NEO will become more decentralized in 2018 as they will have a less and less percentage of the total amount of specialized nodes. And people are just starting to open their eyes to NEO, as you can tell by the price and the amount of people that are just starting to talk a lot about NEO. The fact that Ethereum has the big brand name is also a pretty big advantage, but I don't think that will be enough in the long term to maintain a 10x value compared to NEO. I like NEO. I've liked them ever since I got into cryptocurrencies, and it was one of the first projects I invested in. I currently have a big portion of my portfolio in NEO, as I think this is one of the most undervalued projects in the top 50. Among the big cryptos, I think this must be the most undervalued project compared to the current market cap of others. I think that this price increase we have seen just before the market crash is just the beginning. My price prediction for NEO in 2018 would be around $1,500, which would mean a market cap of about 100 billion. And I would not be surprised if it ends up being a bit more than that if the cryptocurrency market as a whole keeps on growing so fast. And I think that in the short term, maybe 1 to 3 months, we will see a big portion of that price increase happen, as people are just starting to notice NEO now, and some of the big ICOs will launch and then hit the markets. This is of course not professional financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just what I'm doing and my opinions. You are responsible for your own investments.